Look, Hugo thinks lots of things, right? And I don't think he has an opinion on this series thus far. He probably would have picked Paris, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wonder actually. Yeah, we do need to get him on a watch point segment.
I love when we do the watch point desk, and sometimes Custa's cat just will walk directly in front of it. It's like it just goes right in front of the screen, just barrels on through.
Yeah, he just turns up. Mine loves to headbutt my microphone, but you don't hear it because I've got a noise gate.
So KSP on the Widow. This is what we like to see now. Is the Widow on Widow matchup. Rain going with the Brig, and I think that's just an ultimate sign of respect for Sparkle, right? It's like you need to deal with that Genji that comes on in. KSP though,
he could
headshot on an Xe. Oh yes, absolutely.
All right, so a lot of shield coverage there for the Eternal, but they are spread a fair bit, and each time a hold goes up, yep, you wait with bated breath for a shot like that to come through. Nice by KSP. And it should be a nice cleanup here for the Valiant. They get a couple key Widowmaker shots, and it all falls apart for Paris from there.
So, Paris, will you get another touch? You're not running like a Lucius, so it might be hard to get there. It looks like you're going to have one player near there, but you see the way that the Valiants are playing, they're pushing straight on forward, trying to deter another push coming in, and looks like Paris will give up point A, so Valiant, really good start here on Havana.
And you can just see how effective Orisa and Sigma respectively, but also together, are just creating space. You know, if the Valiant don't want the Eternal to contest, they just walk into the doorway and go, all right, here's my shield, there's his. Which one do you want to try and get through? And wait for the cart to push across the line. So we'll see how they try and take control of the space inside here. It actually finds Rain, so just a moment where, Brig players aren't always going to be holding right click when they move around. He just doesn't have a shield up.
I gotta say, this is so difficult to play Widow in this scenario. One Widow is dealing with a Genji, one is dealing with a Tracer, and then, double shield, 3 shields for Xe with Rain in the mix. This has got to be one of the hardest points to play Widow on, as you see why is Shax gets in, just one clips Xe.
Yeah, FD could have been pulse bombed there, but I like this from Shax. He waits it out. He realizes he doesn't need a pulse bomb with how low Ben Best was. The rest of the Valiant's tank line just sort of pushed up here, and Sparkle, I mean, respect him all you like, but even the Brig's not enough to shut him down with the Blade. KSP and Shax are both covering that angle. As soon as Sparkle peeks out, he realizes he may have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew, but with Dreamer out of the picture, Kara Fielder, that car ain't going anywhere for the time being.
Yeah, and he gets out alive as you see Shax there just trying to go put Fielder right there. How many other Zens in the league where you see a pop trance, right? Yep. Like he goes down to 1 bar, confident enough. And No's team probably would have won the fight without him, but then also not to use that Transcendence.
And as a result, Paris holding onto these ultimates, now they have a bunch to use in this fight. So they go for Amp Matrix, Gravitic Flux combo. Xe finds 2 as a result. Lastro tried to peek the corner and actually, I believe, get some use out of his own Amp Matrix, but he got shot in the head instantly by Xe.
Yeah, really nice positioning from the Amp Matrix from FD God. He's able to get his teammates are able to get a ton of damage down on through it. So that's what gets Paris the team fight win there. Now, see, this is where, if you were the Valiant, this is where you would love to be able to switch to like a Genji type of composition, right? Put a ton of pressure on the offensive side onto Xe, but when you see Xe on top of those drums there, nobody can access him.
Infra side does a lot for Xe. He doesn't kill the enemy Widowmaker, but he knows where KSP is, so it allows him to set up. So we can't be taken by surprise. Sparkle. Seen that a couple times, haven't we? Go straight on in, and Xe finds KSP. They've lost Sparkle, though, still, the Eternal, who was close to a Blade, and that Supercharger may have been intended to accompany it. Still, Ben Best tries to use it. That cart's moving, though, and yeah, the Eternal are on the back foot. Oh my. That is... Oh my, Xe! Gets rid of 2 of the hardest targets to pick off as Widowmaker. And now he's in a very safe position, not just because there's no Tracer left to harass him. And this gives time for Ben Best to walk back up, put that Orisa shield down, hold mouse 1 for the boys.
But I think this is where, like I mentioned, this is where, you're not going to, the Valiant aren't going to run Genji. They've shown Winston Zarya type of look. So you can play the Widow and know you're going to be pretty safe the entire time. Big play there from Shax, though. You're going to take care of FD God. He falls at the hands of Xe again.
Xe's so sharp. Oh, there it is.
That is so clean.
Infrasight makes a big difference there. You could see that one coming, but getting rid of both DPS players And then immediately repositioning. Look at how low the shields are for the Valiant. They can't hide behind them forever.
I'm just impressed with how difficult the angles are here inside of this warehouse, that he has found this much value with the Widowmaker.
I feel like it's very hard to do if you miss your first shot as well.
Yeah.
It's so easy just to get away from it. All right, shield bash there from Rain to get out of the Gravitic Flux. FD got down, XC being harassed. Force recall. He's in trouble here, either way. Shaq's eventually going to run him down. Took him a while, though. What can Sparkle do with the time that's been bought by his Widowmaker? Hanbin is able to find both tanks here. So I don't know how the Valiant are expected to push the card at all now.
How many fights is that a row, Mitch, where the Valiant have gotten the first pick-off and they end up just losing in a fight that doesn't even feel like that close after all? I feel like they've gotten like FD God or Sparkle like first in a few of these fights inside this warehouse. They made no card progress.
Well, with XE being nullified in that fight, it was Sparkle combining with Hanbin really well to secure the kill. The Gravitic Flux obviously coming earlier on definitely helped. Now what are we looking for here is Paris. You don't really have a ton to work with right now. Maybe Amp Matrix set up. But that's really just going to be a personal cooldown. Maybe you use it for your main tank as well, Han. Ben Biss gets to make use of the Amp Matrix, but look at his XE. He's everywhere at once, constantly repositioning. The Valiant don't have time to check where he is every time they want to push out.
Widowmaker performance has been spectacular here on Havana, where I'm thinking about how fast the Valiant took point A and where we are right now. The Valiant coming in terms of ultimates, they're just going to have Rally and probably a Gravitic Flux. Maybe you'll end up getting an Amp Matrix here, but
they can't do anything.
An inch away.
Rain just stands there with his shield and hopes that Lastro stays behind him.
And they lose McGravy right away, so no chance at getting the Gravitic Flux. They even through the Rally.
Los Angeles Valiant definitely impressing us over this series, just in terms of how they stood up to the Eternal, but they're now looking down the barrel of being kicked out here before the semis.
This series is much closer than the way it may appear to be. I think if you're an Eternal fan, like you may get out of this alive, let's say, but you don't feel that great. Like you would have expected to see them put together like a real standout, like all-star performance against the Valiant. And the Valiant, to their credit, they're not playing, maybe not having like the optimal lineup to play some of these different types of compositions. They have played what they play well, and not good enough to really give Paris a run for their money.
The Eternal now, knowing what the rest of the bracket looks like, any sort of shakiness like this is, maybe plants the seeds of doubt. They have to go up against the Philadelphia Fusion. I mean, that match is going to be an absolute banger. But two teams with strengths that lie in very similar directions, right? Paris have to be squeaky clean to stop Philly, who are incredibly hungry and are finally feeling like they're really starting to run with full momentum.
And McGravy at the check as MVP. XE so many headshots, and XE just goes vote for XE. Please, McGravy. He's asking McGravy to vote for him. It's pretty funny. As
MVP shilling's already begun, Matthew.
Yeah.
Look, 9 final blows, 7 of them have come from scoped critical hits. Only 3 deaths, so the Widowmaker's turning up in a big way. Okay. XC and McGravy are trying to work out some sort of deal there. I'm not sure if that's above board, but that's fine.
Nobody saw it.
Nobody saw anything. That's right. I mean, you're from Long Island, Matt, right? Like, if no one sees it, it never happened.
Yeah, that's what they say in Brooklyn. Yeah, nobody saw it. Nothing happened.
XE gonna play again. Really tight angles. Like plays inside this bar. It's getting picked up. That is insane.
But it's so hard for him to get like he has to be in that position to make an impact. But to play against like Zen Batiste, trying to go after a Widow as good as XE, it is so much harder to do it as a Tracer than, let's say, a Genji, especially in this state, mind you. Like, this is the patch pre-Genji nerf, right?
Oh, my!
So this is strong, like, where the Genji is still very strong. It's much easier to put that pressure on and live as a Genji player with, like, the dashes to get out, with the deflect, the verticality. It's much harder doing it as Tracer.
This is capitulation by the Los Angeles Valiant now, Matt. They are just... The bottom's falling out of the boat. What else do you say? 5 minutes, 11 seconds.
They should run the East Coast special here.
Yeah, that'd be a great way to go out.
Bring out the East Coast special.
Yes, I know there are a few people in my circle of friends that know how to trade dignity for clout and entertainment values, so they could do that as well. Somehow, I don't think they will. I think they have some pride. Okay, KSP now has to try and do what XC did in that previous round. Like, get value out of these angles, constantly reposition, and honestly hit the first shot. I mean, as soon as he gives himself away, his opportunities for finding these kills have become very slim. And
you see that.
Couldn't even, stay alive long enough to be shot by KSP there, and KSP's able to get rid of Field.
And
Fast moving though.
Yeah, I was going to say, here comes the Blade. The halt actually brings him above where Sparkle was intending to swing. They'll take care of Dreamer as the cart getting very close to that box of victory.
XC's 1v1ing Shax on the cart right now, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not moving. Currently still contested. All right, now that Ben Best returns, I think that Shax has to back away. Immediate transcendence now, of course. The Valiant are trying to keep their Countdown Cup hopes alive. They have to stay in this one for another 4 minutes, but with the transcendence coming out from the Eternal a little bit later, that looks less and less likely by the second. But Gravy stays alive. He knows the second part of his ultimate will get cancelled if he dies during channeling. And here comes a Gravitic Flux from the Eternal. Rain falls to the full damage. XC tries to find a peak, but for now, the Valiant stay alive.
Yeah, a lot used there by both teams, but the Gravitic Flux from McGravy, like he doesn't pop it right away because he's waiting for Fielder's Transcendence to wear off, and he gets it the right time. So now both teams essentially dry in terms of ultimates. You'll have Lastro probably get a Transcendence during this fight. But now it goes back to the Widows, right? Can one of these Widows get a early pick to start things off?
3 minutes and 7 seconds. That is the timer right now for the Valiant. Shax is doing the right thing, putting pressure, trying to flank around.
He has to be so careful, though.
Resources. I mean, yeah, if he gets picked off, it's game over.
Like,
he just gets a random headshot on him.
Well, he's got a Discord on him as well when he starts peeking around some of these corners.
Yeah, KSP's dead. Sparkle finds his way in. Rain doesn't fare much better. I mean, sometimes just one individual Matt can turn a game around. Doesn't help that Shax lost his pulse bomb through a kinetic grasp either. It is the Valiant. They're limping now, and the Eternal just start to apply a little more pressure. And a Transcendence, again, credit to Lastro. I mean, he's getting those quite quickly, but it's not enough. And ultimately, the Eternal will cross the line and make their way into our semifinals.
And not easy, though. I think the Valiant deserve a lot of credit for making the series pretty close. As I think people thought that the Paris Eternal would come in here, just kind of run through the LA Valiant, but the LA Valiant, they win map number 1. I believe it was mentioned by the desk. That was the first time the Paris Eternal had lost Lijiang Tower. And also, they are very close to winning Volskaya. This is a series that could have easily have gone 5 games.
Yeah, and maybe they should have won Volskaya. I think that
with the sheer
weight of ultimates that they had there, I mean, I'd love to see sort of a breakdown of what went wrong and when in that fight, because if you want to talk about resources, the Valiant had everything that they really needed, and they had plenty of time. I mean, you just really have to praise the fortitude, I think, of the Paris Eternal to hang on at such a crucial moment. And then when we get to Havana, they play such an unconventional style with this roaming Widowmaker in an otherwise very close quarters part of the map, where you kind of think that, well, not only is it hard to find shots, but it's also not very safe. Like an enemy Genji or Tracer can just round a corner and all of a sudden you're trapped in this small corridor. The fact that XC gets away with that, and then...
Maybe I just expected a little bit more, to be honest.
Maybe, but I think I said that at the start of this series, right? Many people would expect that if Paris are going to contend in the semifinals, this would be more one-sided, right? That's not accounting, of course, the fact that the Valiant sort of step up and make a big difference when it counts in that first map by showing us Dreamers.
ICC teams start pulling that out a little bit more tomorrow and, of course, in the final.
And, of course, we have an opportunity now to honor the most impressive player in this series. Our player of the match presented by... Xfinity is probably not a huge shock to everybody. We kind of give it to him every week. But once again, Hanbin over the course of this series, where many players waxed and waned, was the top performer, I think, for the Paris Eternal.
Yeah, you look at some of the biggest moments of the series. Hanbin being able to stay alive on Volskaya numerous times in the Zarya. Big high energy, able to pick up kills. You know, the grabs onto certain players. I remember the one onto Rain. It was like a solo grab, but still was huge at the time to get him out of the fight. I think just Hanbin's ability to play the Zarya, Diva, Sigma. They never have to move him around. You see how Paris Eternal kind of juggles a lot of the other players around on the roster, whether it be Ben Best or No Smite. You know, the damage dealers all rotating in and out. Hanbin and the supports are the rock of this team, and I thought he was great today.
Yeah, I mean, you know, nearing sort of DPS levels of final blows per 10 minutes there. Also, again, as the setup with the accretions looked really good. I mean, I couldn't believe what I saw when he just nailed Shax with an accretion there on Havana towards the end while you were actually trying to talk about something important. But that's the kind of exciting play that top Sigma players can sort of deliver us when they're really on point. Because there's a delay, there's a distinct delay with accretion, right? When the animation... And Los Angeles Valiant have given their vote to Exi for the OWL MVP. Good sports they are.
Nice, yeah. I mean, look, he played like an MVP today. When we saw him in the game, right? He wasn't in map number 1, but... Yeah. Every other time we saw Exi really just controlling the game in terms of hit scan with whether it be the Ashe, the Widow.
I think that if he is going to play Sombra in that Sombra Genji Zarya setup, he will need to pop off a little more. I mean, like, you're not supposed to be a solo killer as that Sombra, right? But I think the Valiant made it really hard for Exi to have impact. Let's have a look at our bracket now. Semi-finals are set tomorrow, August 9th. If you don't use a calendar, we have some blockbusters. The Florida Mayhem versus the San Francisco Shock, a rivalry there that continues to get rekindled with each of our monthly tournaments. And then the Philadelphia Fusion and the Paris Eternal. I would say 2 of the most obnoxious and loud fan bases have their teams go head-to-head tomorrow. The YouTube chat is filled with MVP Carpe, MVP Exi all the way, and these 2 fan bases finally get to settle this latest round of grievances in that matchup. Matt, we're going to be there tomorrow, bright and early, and I cannot wait to see who comes out of those 2 matches. You know, I would say that it would be potentially more exciting than the grand final, but then I have to realize that we could have like a Shock Eternal, you know, a grand final sort of setup. There is no bad combination of teams to come out of the semis tomorrow.
No, not at all. I think we clearly have the best teams in North America. No upsets going at it tomorrow. I think when you look at the matches, I've really liked Philly throughout the Countdown Cup. I know Custa picked Philly. I picked Philly as well. I don't think I've seen anything that really wants me to move off of that. I think what Philly is able to do with like a lot of their damage dealers, and I think specifically seeing Sato back on the Winston, like Sato back on the Winston, Poco
Fury
being able to,
Fury.
Poco or Fury able to play some Zarya in the mix. You have Alarm, and what they've been doing with like rotating around, like I know they want to play some Sombra Genji. You kind of have like an Ivy Hisu set up. You can bring Carpe in to play what Carpe is the best at, right? Like your McCrees, your Ashe, your Widowmakers. The Philly has it all right now. I really like the Fusion, but when you say that, there's also like a really strong case to be made for a lot of these teams. I thought the Florida Mayhem were really impressive today against the Atlanta Reign. I think that series with the Shock is going to be very, very good.
And what kind of foot do San Francisco put forward now, right? They can joke around as much as they like, you know, in the matches up until this point, but we know how annoyed they were in the past of not being able to make it into the final, you know, of that cup. So they want to be in the conversation, or at least, in fact, they don't want there to be the conversation. They want to be the undisputed top team in North America. In order to do so, they have to completely smash Florida tomorrow and then have a very dominant grand final performance. So each one of these teams is absolutely gunning for the cup. I can't wait to see how that goes. But for now, we have ourselves an interview with Exi.
Yes, it's me here, Jonathan. I'm here with Exi as well as Avala, translating for the Paris Eternal. Thank you very much for joining me.
Hello.
First question, of course, Exi. Nice match today against the Los Angeles Valiant. Obviously, they fought back. Pretty hard match. What did you think of your own performance in this match?
오늘 팀의 경기에 대해서 본인의 경기력에 대해서 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
일단 오늘 저희가 경기가 올 두 번째 경기에서 제일 마지막 경기로 미뤄졌는데 그것 때문에 방금 했던 경기에 좀 집중력이 조금 떨어진 상태로 경기를 했고 좀 많이 피곤한 상태로 경기를 해서 저희가 오늘 막 저희의 그 힘을 100% 다 보여주진 않은 것 같습니다.
So we were supposed to play second today, but because of our power outage, we were playing on the last match. We were tired, we lost concentration, so we weren't able to perform 100% to what we could have done.
Yeah, so that was actually my second question I wanted to ask you, because you did have that very interesting situation where you had the power outage, of course, and you had to swap the matches. You said that affected your performance at all. How did you rally back together? How did you prepare for this match with that unfortunate circumstance in mind?
그 정전이 나서 말씀하셨던 것처럼 연습도 잘 못하고 고생을 했는데 이게 팀에 어떠한 영향을 미쳤고 어떻게 그 정전에 대한 문제점들을 극복할 수 있으셨나요?
일단 저희한테 제일 큰 영향이 일단 저희가 원래 두 번째 경기인 줄 알고 일찍부터 이제 준비를 하고 했었는데 경기가 이제 맨 마지막으로 미뤄지다 보니까 집중력이 많이 흐려진 게 크고 이제 원래 저희가 스크림을 한 타임을 하고 이제 경기를 뛰어야 되는데 연습도 못한 상태에서 경기를 해가지고 지금 좀 오늘 조금 힘들었습니다 경기 때.
So X is saying the biggest factor was we had to wake up early because we had a second match. We were supposed to play second, but because we played last, it was very tiring because we had to stay awake for such a long time. And also, we usually do one warm-up scrim before we go into our matches, but because of the power outage, we couldn't get any practice at all. So that really affected him the most.
Yeah, well, you did actually warm up in the match, and it looked really good towards the end. And with that performance in mind, you now get to play the Philadelphia Fusion tomorrow in the semifinals in a Summer Showdown rematch. Now, the Philadelphia Fusion have been improving a bit. What do you respect about the Philadelphia Fusion given their past few matches?
이제 내일 퓨전이랑 준결승전을 하게 됐는데 필라델피아 퓨전의 강점이 무엇이라고 생각하시나요?
퓨전의 강점은 일단 카르페 선수랑 알람 선수라고 저는 일단 생각을 하고 카르페 선수는 워낙 지금 제가 생각하기에는 지금 애쉬를 가장 잘하는 선수라고 생각을 하고 이제 알람 선수는 저희 팀 스파클 선수가 겐지를 다루는 선수인데 알람 선수의 브리기테가 겐지 마킹 같은 거를 잘하는 선수다 보니까 저랑 영환이 둘 다 조금 힘든 경기가 될 것 같아요. 네.
So Philadelphia Fusion, the strongest part about them are Carpe and Alarm. Carpe, he thinks is the best Ashe in the Overwatch League right now, so he's gonna have a hard time against him. And Alarm, he has a very good brick which will control Sparkle and minimize him a little bit. So he thinks that tomorrow match is actually gonna be a hard matchup because both him and Sparkle will be able to do less than what they can usually do.
Well, I hope it's going to be very entertaining at least. And it's funny you bring up a Carpe and Alarm because, of course, both of them are nominated for our T-Mobile 2020 Overwatch League MVP award. But so are you. So give me your thoughts on that. What does it feel like to be nominated? What does it mean to you to be nominated for the MVP award this year?
2020년 T-Mobile MVP 후보로 선정이 되셨어요. MVP 후보로 선정이 된 소감이 어떠하신가요?
솔직히 제가 이제 시즌 도중에 아파서 잠시 치료를 받으러 한국으로 한 2개월 정도 그것 때문에 대회를 뛰지 못했는데 그럼에도 불구하고 제가 MVP 후보로 당선이 돼서 이제 솔직히 저도 MVP가 될 줄 몰랐고요. 이제 MVP가 일단 되기 위해서 남은 경기 더 열심히 하고 좋은 모습 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
So during the season, he was sick for a bit, so he had to go back to Korea for 2 months. And he was very surprised that he was nominated to be for T-Mobile MVP. He is very happy and he is very honored, and he will try his best in the rest of the games coming up for him to be nominated for the MVP.
Well, there you have it. But it's truly an MVP performance from you today in today's match. So congratulations on your win. But that's going to be it for today's matches in the Overwatch League. Of course, we have the conclusion tomorrow with the semifinals and the final. But we start a little bit earlier, okay? So we start at 9:30 a.m. PST, so 2 hours before. But if you cannot wait until then, we of course have the APAC region finishing their bracket as well in the Countdown Cup. And that starts at 1 a.m. PST. Avala, XC, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll see all of you tomorrow for the conclusion of the Countdown Cup. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Overwatch League and welcome to the grand finals of the Summer Showdown, the North American side of things. We've got the Paris Eternal versus the Philadelphia Fusion. Oh, it's going to be a good one. My name is Brennan Hook and I'm joined, of course, by Joshua Wilkinson. And what a grand finals, Joshua, we've got here today.
Yeah. Oh, what an unbelievable semi-finals that we just witnessed as well.
Yeah.
That's an all-time classic that really will go down in history. And I think, even though I was looking forward to the Shock Philadelphia rematch, I think this has set us up for an even better finals.
Yep.
Paris going up against Philly, the Genji battles, the different looks that both teams can throw. I think this is going to be spicy. I'm loving it.
This is